People have so much on their plate these days, and most folks we talk to describe it as way too much. Now, I've certainly been in the spot where I was running from situation to situation, applying band-aids or temporary fixes, and when I stopped and thought about it, not really making the kind of progress I wanted in solving the problems. Part of what I was doing was I wasn't slowing down enough to understand the real costs of some of my problems. And when I wasn't clear on what those real and total costs were, I wasn't focused enough on doing something to solve those. So even if those costs were really big, I had a blind spot and didn't necessarily see it. So today we're going to help you get past that blind spot. Now, there are 5 key areas we talk about with teams when discussing the cost of repeated problems and behavioral performance patterns. Now, not surprisingly, the first 2 are time and money. The rest of them, though, may surprise you a little bit. It's heartburn, employee issues, and reputational risk. So let's dive in. And we're going to use a simple example of George, who is repeatedly sending off incomplete or inaccurate shipments. So money and time are pretty straightforward, and also they're usually underrepresented. So when George doesn't pay attention and he ships only part of an order, of course there's a financial impact with extra shipping costs. And when the team repeatedly meets to work out a solution because George isn't doing his part, well, that eats up time. Now here's where you want to go further. The first order impacts are for those who are immediate participants in the situation. And you're probably clear on that. Now get into the second order impacts. What happens to other team members and their time when they keep doing rework because George screwed up again? What about the customer service reps who get an earful from clients and repeat phone calls? Also, what isn't happening because you and others aren't putting attention to other things and you're putting your time on? Also determine how much time you personally are spending on this. Now, in an average week, let's say you're devoting 2 hours. You may think, that's not that big of a deal. Well, multiply that by 50-ish working weeks and boom, you're spending 100 hours a year. That's 2.5 full working weeks just sorting this situation out. Now, how differently do you feel about it when you think about it that way? Now, heartburn is the third big area of cost. And this is heartburn for you, heartburn for the team member involved, heartburn for clients, for partners, shippers, etc. Really dig into what that looks like and feels like. And remember, you're directly affected by this situation. How much time do you spend thinking about it, working to solve it, ruminating about it, talking about it to your friend or spouse? That heartburn and frustration are a major energy drag, and those are going to slow you down in other areas that really matter. And this is just you. Other people, as well as the team member who's creating the challenge, are probably frustrated about it as well. Employee issues are the fourth way that ongoing problems create real costs. So when people are routinely frustrated and they're disappointed time and time again, they're going to start to change their part. Now what they may do is create secondary problems like getting confrontational, or maybe they just check out. Maybe they just do the bare minimums. Those are going to hurt you and the business. What could hurt worse is if people just start to leave. Think about it. Now you've got a frustrated team with too few people to actually do the work. The fifth way that costs really multiply is through reputational risks. So when George repeatedly ships out incorrect or incomplete orders, he's creating a reputational risk, first for himself, for the department, and for the business. People may not want to work with him because he's shown that he's sloppy and doesn't care. Clients may not want to buy from you all today because your business has shown a pattern of sending parcel shipments. That creates a real problem for them. And people may not want to work with you personally because you've shown that you're willing to put up with this. Or you won't do anything about it, even though you know it's a serious problem. And here's the kicker. Those costs don't just show up today. They're going to show up in the future with things like canceled orders, contracts you're not invited to bid on. They could even show up if people decide not to apply to your company's open positions because they hear, man, it's a hot mess over there. They don't know what's going on. Now, I recently met with a team of CEOs about a month ago, and one of them had a problem that he was chewing on. He initially described it as a $10,000 problem, and he showed a bit of interest in solving it. Well, then we started to talk, and we peeled back the layers on all 5 of these areas, both today and in the future. Well, in short order, he got uncomfortable, really began to shift in his chair, and he said, man, he said, this is a 7-figure issue for the company. And his rough math was that represented 8% of their annual revenue. He had more completely recognized what it meant so he could prioritize doing something about this. Now, this can be hard and it can be uncomfortable. Lucky for you, you've got friends at Wingspan who are ready to help. So reach out through our website for a consult or enroll in Wingspan Performance Academy. That will help you learn more about the patterns you've got and how you're accidentally contributing to these costs. That'll help you take this frustration and turn it into something useful and productive. See you soon.